follow the journey of something you've probably held in your mouth dozens of times but have never really seen: a dental tool. It's this amazing, invisible path that takes it from being used through this whole gauntlet of science and back to being perfectly safe. So, let's follow along.
You know the feeling, right? You're in the chair, the dentist says you're all set, and the assistant just whisks away that tray of instruments. Do you ever wonder where they actually go? I can tell you it's not just for a quick rinse. It's this super meticulous, multi-stage process that is all about one thing: your safety. So let's trace that first step.
So, the whole journey kicks off with the most basic but also the most important stage: cleaning. And listen, this isn't about making the tools look all shiny and new. This is the absolute bedrock of safety. It's the one step that, if you get it wrong, makes everything else completely useless.
So what do we actually mean by cleaning here? Well, it's the physical removal of everything. We're talking blood, saliva, tiny particles of tissue, all the stuff you can see, but more importantly, all the stuff you can't. If this step isn't perfect, the whole system just falls apart.
And here's exactly why it's so critical. You have to think of any leftover debris as like a microscopic shield for germs. Seriously, if even one tiny speck is left behind, it can literally protect bacteria and viruses from the really powerful sterilization that's coming later. So yeah, perfect cleaning, it's totally non-negotiable.
So how do they get to this level of clean? Well, there are two main ways. First, you've got manual cleaning, which is just what it sounds like: someone scrubbing each tool by hand. But really, the modern gold standard is ultrasonic cleaning. This thing uses high-frequency sound waves to create millions of tiny little bubbles that literally blast the debris right off the instrument's surface.
And the difference between these two methods, it's not small. It is staggering. Get this: ultrasonic cleaning is 16 times more effective than doing it by hand. I mean, that's just a massive leap forward in safety and efficiency. It really shows you how important technology is in keeping us safe at the dentist.
And if you look here, you can see just how methodical the whole thing is. The instruments get soaked to loosen everything up. Then they're brushed. And notice this part: it's often done under the surface of the water. You know why? To stop any contaminated droplets from flying up into the air. After a good rinse, they're dried completely. Every single one of these steps is a deliberate link in this chain of safety.
Okay, so once the tool is physically clean, it's time to up the ante. We're moving on from just removing the gunk to actively destroying the germs that are still there. This next level is called disinfection.
And disinfection isn't just for the tools. It's a two-pronged attack. First, every single surface in that room, the chair, the counter, the light handle, it all gets thoroughly disinfected. And at the same time, those clean instruments get dunked into these powerful disinfectant solutions to kill off any microbes left hanging around.
For all those surfaces, they follow this really strict, simple protocol you see here: spray, wipe, spray. The first spray breaks up the contaminants. The wipe physically removes them. And that final spray, that kills anything that might be left behind. It sounds simple, but it's an incredibly powerful little sequence. But, believe it or not, even after all of that, we are still not done. For a lot of these instruments, we have to get to the absolute highest level of microbial kill possible. And that brings us to the final showdown: sterilization. This is the complete and total elimination of all forms of microbial life. So there are two main roads you can take to get to total sterilization. There's cold sterilization, which uses these really strong chemicals, but it's usually for things that can't take the heat. It's kind of slow and the chemicals are pretty harsh. The one you see almost everywhere, the industry standard, is heat sterilization, which uses this incredible machine called an autoclave. This right here is where you see the purest science behind the autoclave. Just think of it as a high-tech pressure cooker on steroids. It uses this super precise mix of steam, temperature, and pressure to just annihilate every single microorganism. And look at the table, you can see how it works. At 121 degrees Celsius, it takes 15 minutes. But if you crank up that heat to 134 degrees, boom, you get the same perfect sterilization in only 3 minutes. It's all about controlled, scientific precision. And even before the tools go into the autoclave, there are these other really important prep steps. They get treated to prevent rust, moving parts get lubricated, and then they're sealed in these special packages. Now, the genius of this packaging is that it lets the sterilizing steam in, but it completely blocks germs from getting back in after, so everything stays perfectly sterile until the moment it's opened. So the whole process seems pretty bulletproof, right? But you're probably wondering, how do they know for sure that it actually worked? And that's where this final, crucial step comes in: quality control. They don't just assume it worked, they prove it. Every single time.
There's actually a 3-layered system of checks and balances to make sure every single sterilization cycle was a success. These are the mechanical, the chemical, and the biological indicators.
Okay, so first up, you have the mechanical indicators. These are literally the gauges on the machine itself, just confirming that it hit the right time, temperature, and pressure. Then you've got chemical indicators. These are special strips inside or outside the packages that change color, just like you see here, but only if the right sterilizing conditions were actually met. These are your first 2 lines of defense. But to be absolutely 100% certain, dental offices use what is known across the board as the gold standard of sterilization assurance.
And this is it, the biological indicator. This is the ultimate test. They actually place a vial that's filled with these super-resistant bacterial spores, some of the toughest little life forms on the planet, inside the autoclave with the tools. The logic is so simple. If the process can kill these little superbugs, it can kill absolutely anything. After the cycle, they test the vial. If nothing grows, the machine passed with flying colors. So, after surviving that entire gauntlet of cleaning, disinfection, sterilization, and all that rigorous proof, the instrument's long journey is finally complete.
The final stop is just a clean, dry storage area. The instrument sits there in its sterile package, totally safe, perfectly maintained, and just waiting for its next job, which is, of course, protecting the health of the next patient.
So the next time you're sitting at the dentist and you see them open a fresh pack of instruments, you'll know the incredible, unseen journey it took to get there just for you. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible systems are out there working around the clock to protect us every single day?